and all the keys were rigged in favor of incumbents. And I tried to explain to him, no, there are things outside of the keys. We literally had a debate, and I asked him, what if Joe Biden, this was back when he was defending Joe Biden, which now seems unconscionable, what if Biden came and punched the baby every single day? Would your keys still hold? And he said yes. Okay, well then you're an unreasonable person.
I was right.
What I'm most worried about is not the past.
Let me explain why.
Oh, he's right. Biden could have won. Biden could have won. The issue is, like, literally, like, the fucking biggest, like, left-wing content creator, right? It's fucking Hassan. And if Kamala Harris came out and said, biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports, at least if they haven't medically transitioned or whatever, Hassan would get fucking... Hassan would lose his shit at that, okay?
Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother, you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish your goddamn
stupid? No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was.
Hey, I mean, he didn't call you stupid. He just said you're stupidly wrong. Which, I mean, he kind of was. Listen, the keys did not come through for us, unfortunately.
I would personally not have picked Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General pick. I think it's ridiculous, right?
Are you kidding me? Dude, never shot if a Democrat did something. If a Democrat did something equivalent to that, Piers Morgan would not just do like the weaselly, "What I have personally done it." If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description. But now, this looked interesting. It has fucking Harry Sisson, Cenk, and Lichtman, whose 13 keys were. Let's see the cope. Let's see the cope. I'm very excited for Lichtman's 13 keys cope here.
Clear message emerging from the ruminations, as with the campaign itself, is that the orange man is still back. Just about nobody on the left can agree on why the orange man therefore won by a landslide and what should happen next. Here's just a snapshot.
Why would the bad guy win the election? I wonder why.
Masterminds who were wrong about, well, almost everything.
It is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right. A lot with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other.
The working class of this country is angry, and they have a reason to be angry.
I don't respect him saying that the Democrat
was Bernie wrong there?
Party has abandoned the working class families. That's where we are.
Elon Musk is, I don't know how many hundreds.
Oh, he's just showing that Democrats, Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi disagree. Wow, that's fucking crazy, dude. Wow, that's never happened before, man.
He has been the director of misinformation.
And this idea that, like, oh no, the economy's actually good or crime is actually down, this is all just Fox News. Like, shut the fuck up with that. Like, talk to some people who live near you.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed.
I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts.
Owned.
And masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates.
Exactly. Whatever the prescription should ultimately be, the diagnosis is surely crystal clear. Trump has made commanding inroads with working class voters, black voters, Latino voters, urban voters, and young voters. It's a veritable rainbow coalition of disaffected people who the Democrats have traditionally relied upon and more recently taken for granted. So what drove them away? Was it government-funded operations to transgender illegal aliens? Was it prioritizing SNL and 60 Minutes of a Joe Rogan and Theo Von? Was it the warm embrace of Liz Cheney and a hawkish, even conservative stance on the wars in Israel and Ukraine? Was it gaslighting America into believing Joe Biden was so sharp he could slice concrete and meant ousting him for a simply dreadful candidate in Kamala Harris? Maybe it was all of the above, delivered with a customary liberal serving of supreme self-confidence and the firm belief that everyone who disagrees with them is a moron or a bigot.
I mean, it keeps, I think, again, the primary issue is the biggest individual reason is probably inflation. That's why, like all the things you just mentioned are things that, like, the Democratic Party as a whole has some association with the, like, transgender bullshit, whatever. Not that, I didn't mean, like, I'm a trans ally here. I mean, the people hate the fucking transgender shit. Oh, thank you for the £5, Rex Garner. I appreciate it. I support Trump. It's why I want to go. Please, Trump, worship Trump XX. Well, thank you for the £5. I appreciate it, dude. Why is it not showing up? Oh, maybe because it's on shorts and it doesn't. I don't know. Well, I still saw it. I was still in chat. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It really helps it a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, I think the inflation was probably the biggest single individual thing, or more specifically, not inflation, but real disposable income being below trend.
Well, joining me for an uncensored battle.
Because the rest of the like Democrats did well in some down ballot races, and they still have the transgender baggage associated with them, right?
For the heart and soul of the Democratic Party, the host and founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, presidential historian and pollster Professor Allan Lichtman, Democrat influencer Harry Sisson, and author of
Lichtman.
Senior political analyst of Fox News, Juan Williams. Well, welcome to all of you. Juan, in particular, a long time since I've spoken to you. Great to have you, I think, making your debut on Uncensored, so thank you very much. This is blue on blue, chaps, so you can rip into each other to your heart's content, and hopefully out of it we may get some form of consensus over certain ways that the Democrats could go. Juan, let me start with you. When you look at the election and you look at the thumping win Trump got and who he won it with, do you think this whole campaign by the Democrats to portray him as racist, sexist, transphobic, Islamophobic, a Nazi, blah, 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 did they just over-egg the devilment souffle and just in the end play into his hands?
Well, I think they thought, based on the numbers, that this was going to be an effective form of attack, and I think it was for the base of the party. But I think that there were a lot of people who were attracted to other parts of Trump, and I think the whole macho man thing.
I don't know. I think it was primarily a failure to turn out the Democratic base, right? Is my understanding. That was what the numbers still show. There were a few million people who voted for Biden that just kind of didn't show up to vote for Kamala Harris.
You were talking about a rainbow coalition. No, it wasn't a rainbow coalition, but I think that you saw white men still go.
Democrats didn't do well at anything. They lost everything. That's not true. They won first-time viewers. Stopped going on live. Thank you, Michael Stevens. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. That's not true. Democrats won important, like the Democratic Senator in Arizona won, right? Like, a lot of Democratic senators outperformed Kamala Harris. I live in North Carolina. Our Democratic Attorney General won. Our Democratic Governor won. I think we had we broke the supermajority. Previously, North Carolina, the state legislator, had a Republican supermajority, and we've had that for many years. So even if the Democratic governor vetoed something, the supermajority could just override the veto. That can't happen anymore. And now we have a Democratic governor, so he can veto things and actually have it be upheld. That's a big win. Like, that's a big victory here.
The Latino men, and I think that's the big story of the election. Latino men suddenly went towards Trump, and there were some black men. I think it was a male thing, and I think, again,
I don't know if it was a male thing, but clearly the identity politics did not appeal to these people. I think that was a big issue. So it's like super. I feel like a lot of these center left. I hate this because 90% of Democrats don't use the term Latinx or whatever. But it feels like the 10% of far left Democrats who do, for whatever reason, the cringe term Latinx, kind of force the other 90% to adhere to that. And it's just I feel like that can't happen anymore. But again, I don't think it's the primary reason we lost.
He said offensive, vulgar things about women. The fact that he is, and says he wants to be an authoritarian. That's all true. But I think a lot of the men said, you know what, we like it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, Professor Lichtman, you correctly forecast the result of 9 of the past 10 US presidential elections, but not this one. Like most pollsters, I have to say, very, very few people predicted a big win, other than I might, if I may be so modest, I did. I went on Fox News 10 days
Piers,
before the
good one, nice one.
Going to win big. But actually, most people thought it would be incredibly tight and it could go either way and so on. But it wasn't that at all. Why do you think Trump is so difficult to call? Clearly,
I mean, how big were the margins in most of these states? They weren't that big. Obviously he won every swing state, but it wasn't I don't know if I would say it's a
conclusion.
It's not a landslide in terms of did so many more people vote for him. It's just that he did have more people vote for him, but a lot of it was just a failure to mobilize the Democratic base.
I would draw from this.
Well, I am forthrightly willing to admit I missed this election. I still think I actually have.
Kamala Harris ran a far-right campaign. She lost while running with Liz Cheney. That's my understanding is that most of the exit polls show that people thought Kamala Harris was too liberal. I don't know if I would consider Kamala Harris to run she definitely did not run a far-right campaign. She ran a pretty center-left campaign. Lower popular vote numbers than Hillary? Yeah.
I think I was right about 2000, but we're not here to litigate that. I still think it's a pretty good record. Now, I think two things are operating here. Number one, I was incredibly critical at the time of the spineless, cowardly Democrats openly and viciously trashing their elected president and their elected nominee right out.
Is he going to say the reason we lost is because Biden dropped out? Oh, Lichtman. Biden could have won. I believe him. I'm with Lichtman.
There in the open.
Praise Biden.
I've never seen that before, and I've studied American politics since the founding, and that tainted any nominee. And they're now taking no responsibility for that. They're blaming everybody else. Until they look in the mirror, the Democratic Party is going to be in trouble. Secondly, why did my keys miss? Because my keys are based
Liberalism
on
is far right, don't you remember?
A rational electorate decides whether or not the White House party is governed well enough to get 4 more years. That was.
I forgot he blames the misinformation, which honestly, kind of true. No wieners in little girls' locker restrooms. So true, brother. Welcome to the stream.
Was exploded this time by a.
What's center left about Kamala Harris? She still supports transgender people. She was for a ceasefire in Gaza. Whether or not you believe it, she was at least willing to say that, like a temporary ceasefire. I don't know, things like that. Yeah. The unrealized gains tax.
New wave of disinformation that we've never seen before, in addition to the usual sources of disinformation. We had a huge change this time. A 300 billionaire, a guy who's richer than most countries of the world, who controls X, spreading vast disinformation. According to reports, billions upon billions of viewers saw his disinformation. People have a completely distorted view of the economy.
What was the disinformation?
Inflation is going up.
Let me pin you down on that, though. You say Elon Musk was spreading disinformation. Like what?
Like the stuff he said on FEMA?
Yes. He is spreading vast disinformation that's sunk in. Even people who think their own financial situation is pretty good think inflation is going up when it's been cut by 75%. And unemployment is a near high when it's near a low.
It's still inflation.
On that point, see, that's interesting. You would say that's disinformation.
Nice one, bro. Thanks, pet my dog.
The point is that inflation is still not zero. Therefore, prices are still going up. Therefore, people...
The only way you get inflation...
Wow, insane analysis here, Piers. Inflation is not zero. Therefore, prices are still going up.
Here's my point. Yeah, but here's my point.
Obviously.
Here's my point. Yeah, but here's my point. Democrats kept telling the American people rather arrogantly, I thought, the economy's in really good shape. Meanwhile...
No, they did not. No, at least every like mainstream Democrat played it super safe with like the economic stuff. Like, like online debaters like me might have been more aggressive and like if someone claims the economy's bad, like pointing out all the statistics that show it's good. But like the mainstream Democrats, like Pete Buttigieg and Jubilee, when people are like talking to him about the economy, he didn't like cite statistics. He was like, your experience matters. Clearly, we need to do better. Like, this is not true at all. All the mainstream Democrats took the exact opposite stance of this.
Inflation still exists. In other words, prices have continued to go up and up and up, albeit not at the same rate they were going up. But if it wasn't zero, and it wasn't, it was like 2.5% or whatever by the end, that is still inflation. So it's not disinformation to say
the only
Americans
way you
are still
get it to
suffering
zero
inflation.
is a recession, is deflation. That's ridiculous.
True. Thank you, Lichtman.
Inflation has been cut by 80%, but it's not just inflation that people are wrong about.
But do you accept inflation means prices are still going up? Do you accept
why is Piers... What the...
Prices are still going up.
Of course.
Right, so
they
that's
always
the point.
do in this sort of recession.
That's not disinformation.
That's ridiculous.
Is it? By Elon Musk,
and it's
that
disinformation
disinformation
about every other aspect of the economy as well. Disinformation about undocumented immigrants, like they're the bloodthirsty killers. They are the most law-abiding segment of our society. According to numerous studies, including by the Libertarian Cato Institute, they commit crimes, including violent crimes, less than half of that of Native Americans. And they don't drain our economy. They are the mainstay of the agricultural, construction, personal service, hospitality industries. Studies show you will drive the economy into a recession if you go through large-scale deportation of immigrants, and you will sweep huge numbers of U.S. citizens.
Cenk is ready. Yeah, you can see him fucking charging up, man.
Used to identify undocumented immigrants are fundamentally flawed. You can't
Kill
have a
for Trump.
electorate under these conditions, and the mainstream media is utterly feeble. It spends 20 times more time on meaningless polls within the margin of error than it does telling truth to power and indicating the consequences of this election.
But it is okay. I'm going to come to
billionaires.
Okay, I'm going to come to Cenk. I mean, Cenk, the biggest deporter in American presidential history was Barack Obama, who deported over 3 million people. This idea that Trump is going to become some outlier in terms of mass deportation. The great mass deporter was actually a Democrat president, Obama, by a long way, by the way. So this idea.
Piers brings this up all the time, and it's so annoying. Like, one, Obama also did other things that Trump's probably not going to do. In fact, Trump's probably going to repeal things like DACA, which, let the children stay here or whatever. And two, Obama was turning around people at the border. That's incredibly different than Donald Trump sending the military, declaring a national emergency, sending in the military to go find migrants already here to deport. Like, excuse me? Did Obama declare a national emergency? Maybe he did for, Katrina or something? I'm sure he had to declare one at some point, but, are you kidding me?
The idea of, disinformation. I think some of it was disinformation, but it's, I think the idea that this election was only won through right-wing disinformation, I'm afraid, I view that as a total delusion by the Democrats. Again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with Juan and Professor Lichtman. Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but Juan, I think
we need to run a socialist, and then we'll fucking win.
I think that's a
Run
terrible
Bernie.
And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right, he was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
couldn't
not
find
right,
him
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Who won?
Oh, Lichtman won't take it. I feel so bad for Lichtman.
Live in a total world of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Wow.
So right. With your personal attacks.
Come find out again.
Make whatever point you want. Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program,
published
I've never been
13
able to
books.
finish a
How many
thought.
books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother, you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just
Don't
finish
call
your
me
goddamn
stupid.
thought?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was.
Hey, I mean, he didn't call you stupid. He just said you're stupidly wrong. Which I mean, he kind of was. Listen, the keys did not come through for us, unfortunately.
Need you to call me stupid?
Okay.
Can I just say, it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Manners?
It's lovely to see you post-election.
Do you read books, and if so, do you have a suggestion? Are you talking to me? I mean, yeah, I read quite a bit of books. The last book I read was What's Wrong with Protectionism. It was a book about all the flawed arguments against free trade.
Hey, Allan, hey, Allan, you deserve a tall glass of shut up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right.
You're
so right. So any point you want, I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't
blasphemy against you? Whatever you are, Jesus Christ, you loser. Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once? Okay, here we go. So, guys, you're blaming disinformation. There was disinformation. There was the cats and the dogs nonsense. The points you're making about undocumented immigrants, I agree with, Allan, okay? But that didn't cost the election. The main disinformation was about how the election was going to be rigged. And it wasn't rigged. It was dumb. They won easily. There was no need for that disinformation. You guys are missing the whole point. The people who are at fault are not other people. It is the candidate, Kamala Harris, the previous candidate, Joe Biden,
yeah.
Democratic Party, Democratic leadership.
Should have read Bernie. Bernie can still win.
You guys don't want to admit that they're the problem. They're the cancer in the Democratic Party. So you blindly lash out at the voters, at information, at social media, and you want to shut down anyone who disagrees with you. That's not the correct answer. There are three wings of the Democratic Party. There's the establishment wing that the great majority, almost everyone on television, supports and kisses the ass of and does.
Based. I love the establishment wing. Thank you. Yes. I'm so cucked for the establishment.
Propaganda for. That wing has led to disaster. They lost to Donald Trump twice, nearly lost to him 3 times. And then the other wing is called the progressive wing, but those are two different sets of people. In the progressive.
By the way, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders both underperformed Kamala Harris in their elections. They got less votes than Kamala Harris versus most other like center-left Democrats. Who's the young streamer on the panel? I think you're talking about Harry. He's Harry Sisson. He's a TikToker. He's like a TikTok debate dude. What was it saying? Yeah, most other senators outperformed Kamala Harris. In fact, like in Arizona, the Democratic senator won, right? But but Kamala Harris lost versus the more progressive candidates underperformed her. Just saying. Also, like the exit poll show, like a lot of people thought Kamala Harris was too liberal.
The identitarian left, the people who do what the right wing would call woke politics and identity politics, and that is disastrous. That's what the trans ad was at the end.
Okay, thank you. At least we'd have that.
The most popular part of the Democratic Party is the populist left. That is the Bernie Sanders 2016 campaign. That part says, let's do super popular economic proposals like paid family leave, higher minimum wage, universal health care, public option. Let's do all of these things. And the establishment goes, no, our corporations don't want that. Our donors don't want that. So we'll just do identity politics. And maybe identity politics will unite the left. But it didn't. Identity politics led to disaster. It was a poison within the Democratic Party, used, ironically, by the establishment Democrats because they didn't want to talk about popular proposals that we have because their donors hate those proposals.
Okay, let me bring in Harry. Now, Harry, you tweeted or posted on X on November the 6th. Kamala Harris's speech was amazing. Graceful, strong, hit the right tone. She's a fantastic leader and a great role model. No idea how she lost to Trump. You're a bright young guy, Harry. I've interviewed you several times. Right?
Why does he talk so fast to me? Or I had the video a little bit sped up. Do you own any guns? I don't know. I'm not even. Actually, I am old enough now. No, it's not like a moral thing. Like if I thought I would enjoy a gun, I would own a gun. I just am not that interested in it.
You know why she lost, and that's
Harry's cool. Even got an interview with Biden. That was awesome, bro.
Illustration. She basically said nothing. She talked about billions of stars in the moonlight and shining lights and all that. There was nothing there. There was no meat on the bone, no substance. And that was her problem throughout the whole campaign. She had 100 days.
Bro, Commander Trump. She had so many, her policies were way more clear than Trump's. Are you kidding me? Kill me. Like Kamala Harris has this whole... this is only her economic policy. 82-page, like, nice, clean PDF. Only her economic policies, okay? Versus, like, go to fucking Trump's website and, like, go look at the 2024 GOP platform, and it's like, or no, actually, just go to Trump's own website. It has the same, like, 13 points. The Agenda 47. I think it has the same 13 points here. It's like, ugh. Oh, platform. It has 13 points, and like you can't actually click on any of them to like read more. Also, like these are so stupid. 5, end inflation. Bro is the biggest nerd getting no pussy. Accurate. Based. End inflation and make America affordable again. Like what does that mean? End inflation. Inflation is back down close to like 2%. Depends on how you measure it. Make America affordable. Like, do we want inflation to be 0%? That's probably not a good thing. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Okay, that's point 5. Let's check point 13. Keep the US dollar as their world reserve currency. Points 5 and 13 are basically contradictory. It's probably not possible to be a manufacturing superpower without devaluing the dollar to the extent that it probably would not be the best world reserve currency. Like, bro's 14. Why does he care about politics? He knows literally nothing. So true.
To show America, here's how I'm going to fix all your problems.
Why is 0% inflation not good? One, you probably have to, in order to do that, you have to keep interest rates so high that you which could potentially trigger a recession. 2, if there's a shock that happens, the Fed is limited in its ability to respond to that because without creating too much, without creating deflation, which is bad. 2, it doesn't give, 3, it doesn't what's the I'm trying to think of the word. 0% deflation or inflation is deflation. Not necessarily. Well, it depends on wages, right? I mean, you can have real wage growth, and it would effectively the real wages would increase more. But you want to give consumers an incentive to spend their money. Otherwise, people save too much, and then you cause like the paradox of thrift. And there's concerns about the paradox of thrift there, which is probably not good. Bro knows nothing about this at all. Okay.
Instead, she did the Hillary Clinton
smoke,
playbook.
bro. You losing it. Wait, what did I say that was like wrong?
It says joy and sunshine immediately.
The Fed keyword, young man. That's a problem. A private bank thrust in our history. What's wrong with the Fed? I like the Fed. I mean, the Fed's a big reason we're not in a recession right now. The Fed,
He pivoted to Trump said.
Trump's policy plan was the equivalent of a mid-40s hippie chick stance on all hopes and zero substance. True.
A Nazi, they're all fascists, they're all disgusting. And by the way, here are all my rich, famous entertainment friends who are all going to surround themselves on me on stages. Didn't work for Hillary, didn't work for Kamala. And at some point, young guys like you who are the future of the Democrat Party, you've got to wake up and smell the cappuccino.
Negative inflation is good after high inflation? Probably not. It'd be preferable to just have wages increase and inflation increasing more slowly than wages. Negative inflation can never be bad, really never? Deflation is usually bad because consumers have no incentive to spend their money, and it can lead to a deflationary spiral. So basically, prices fall, that leads to less money. Money printing will lead to full blown. I think there are reasons to print money sometimes. Also, I doubt you. Negative deflation triggers a spiral? Yeah, I can. So something called a deflationary spiral. Bro is yapping? What am I saying here that's wrong? Basically, you can cause the businesses will fall, and they'll have to lower wages or fire people or both, which leads to even more people with less income, which means they spend less and save more, and they're not stimulating the economy. What that means is that there's lower aggregate demand, which leads to falling prices. Non-fun for president. So true. Kamala ambassador. Yeah, falling demand, falling prices, debt defaults, bankruptcies, layoffs, and wages, falling demand, falling. Yeah, typically this is probably not what we want. Japan has had problems with this before. Yeah, that's why most economists will say like even a relatively high level of inflation is probably better than even a slightly lower level of deflation. Anyway.
You need a candidate that can resonate. I mean, Cenk's right.
Gold standard in the 70s has caused inflation with wage stagnation. I dispute the fact that wages have stagnated.
The Democrat candidate.
You speak from a liberal perspective, but we are
resonated with the public
here in real life, my friend.
Right?
Okay.
You'd have done better with him running in this election. But you guys don't see it that way, do you?
Well, I think that since the election happened and sitting with it for a couple of weeks, I know why Kamala Harris lost. I think that what I said was premature. And I think it's a combination of what all the gentlemen around me are saying. I think it's like a middle ground in life, which I think is often the case, which is I think
Professor Lichtman is right that there's a lot of disinformation
pushed by a lot of bad actors in the right wing. But I think that Cenk and
hang on, Harry. There was disinformation from the left as well. when you keep calling him a Nazi.
But Piers, it's not.
Kill me.
It's not
You know what's insane? You know what's insane? Trump basically rigged our fucking country to explode, okay? Because if he lost the election, he would have still declared victory, okay? He would have declared victory. There would have been a fucking violence in the street to the extreme. But who knows? It actually could have happened. Rigged, LMFAO. Trump basically rigged our fucking democracy to explode. He was literally during election night, like retruthing, right? It's not on Twitter, saying like, oh, look at the election fraud happening in Philadelphia or whatever. Like, if he lost the election, he would have still declared victory and it would have been a shit show, okay? But because he won, he just got away with it. It's like, I think Sam Harris made this point really, non-funds pro stamp act true. Sam Harris made this point really well. He was like, you know, if someone rigs your house to explode and then for a reason outside of their control, it doesn't actually go off, like you just let them off the hook. This is insane. This is insane. Like there would have been people are still claiming the election is rigged. People literally are like, where'd the 9 million votes for Biden go? And still claim that this election was rigged. Like,
when you keep
the opposite, there's been so much damage done to society from the big lie in 2020. It has actually like ruined the fabric.
Calling Donald Trump a Nazi and a fascist and all these things, and his supporters.
Modern monetary policy idiot speaking. I'm not a modern monetary theorist, but okay.
All that is total disinformation because he hasn't murdered 12 million people and he's not going to.
Well,
and by the way, you all know.
Kill me.
So the disinformation is on both.
Thank you for the sub, Dimitri, and I appreciate it. Welcome.
sides.
I disagree.
YouTube subs really help out a lot right now. Thank you. Everyone sub right now. The big lie psyop. Do you deny that Trump repeatedly lied about election fraud in 2020?
I disagree with calling Donald Trump a Nazi or calling him Hitler. But I want to be clear, that was his own former advisors who called him that and likened him to Hitler. Kamala Harris never got on stage and said, oh yeah, Trump's Hitler.
I'm not even an MMT or chat.
She just alludes to the fact
what
that
is this? What is these attacks? Okay.
But I also want to make the point that I think that Cenk and the gentleman from Fox News is right when it comes to the economy. I think we were not great when it came to messaging on the economy. The benefit that Trump had is that he could put his slogan on a yard sign. He could say, Kamala Harris, Democrats, high prices, Trump and vans, low prices. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, was tasked with explaining, okay, here's why inflation went up. Obviously, it's not Joe Biden.
He didn't lie. He believed it was stolen. If he actually believed it was stolen, he's fucking psychotic and mentally incompetent to be president. Okay? Where's the But he almost certainly knew that he lost because people told him, his own team told him, his own like election integrity commission literally fucking told him specific claims of election fraud were false. I thought it was... Where's the Jan 6 report? Here it is. I think it's like page 58 or something. His own team would tell him this claim of election fraud is false. And then the next day, he would literally just say... He would just repeat it. Sometimes people are wrong. Here it is. Sorry, there's a lot of them. Then Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen. And so he said, well, what about this? I saw it in videotape. Someone was delivering a suitcase of ballots, and we said it wasn't a suitcase. It was a bin. That's why that's what they use when they're counting ballots. It's benign. And then this is a few days later. There was even security camera footage from Georgia that shows officials telling poll watchers to leave the room before pulling suitcases of ballots out from under the tables and continuing to count for hours. Young man, learn to read more books. Okay. His advisors. You're one of my favorite transgender YouTubers. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. Then, Acting Deputy Attorney General Richard Donoghue. I told the president myself that several times in several conversations that these allegations about ballots being smuggled in suitcases run through machines several times. It was not true. That we looked into it. That we looked at the video. We interviewed a witness. It was not true. I believe it was on the phone call on December 27th. It was also in a meeting in the Oval Office on December 31st. And then a few days later, she shuffled the machine. She stuffed the ballot. Each ballot went through 3 times. They were showing. Here's the ballot number 1. Here's the second. Here's the second one. Third time. Like literally, there are many more examples of this specific claims of election fraud Trump was told was not true and then went on to repeat, either knowing that they were not true or recklessly. Yeah.
Factors. Here's why gas prices went up. Obviously, it's not means external factors. You know, if you're explaining, you're losing, as the famous saying goes.
Yeah.
So that was the uphill battle that we had. And I think there was kind of a perfect storm that led to Donald Trump being elected. And I think that I disagree.
Can you explain the graphs around showing Biden's Democratic votes? Yeah, cities, a lot of times cities report all their ballots at once. So it creates the fucking, the jump that have, 330 ballot drop or whatever. Yeah, like that's how you can see it happening to Republicans too. Diddy's attorney. Like, I think, I think I have graphs in here bookmarked. You did a great job defending a hopeless is the hopeless position that the election in 2020 was not stolen. That's a hopeless position. Here we go. Yeah, like here's a meme about it. Like you can see this happens to Republicans as well, because like cities will sometimes like report all their shit at once. This is not uncommon. It happens. Oh, look at a 3 a.m. ballot drop. Look at a 3 a.m. ballot drop. What the fuck? What? Like that. But it happens to Democrats more often just because Democrats live in larger cities that take longer to count votes.
But you're missing something else. You're missing something else, which is
and Democrats disproportionately vote by mail as well, and that takes longer to count.
Culture war stuff that we kept being assured by the left. Nobody cared about.
Psyop, this kid doesn't even vote. I did vote.
Nobody cares that biological men are wrecking women's sport. Nobody cares that they're invading women's personal spaces, and so on and so on. No one cares that kids are being put through mutilating surgery before puberty. And we kept being told nobody cares about this. Leave them all alone. It's transphobic. I'm not transphobic. I wanted trans people, as I still do, to have fairness and equality in their lives exactly the same as all of us on this panel. But when you keep telling people it is fair, on the one hand, Democrats said, we protect women's rights on abortion. On the other hand, we're absolutely fine.
Oh, another bot. Awesome.
To be traduced at this ridiculous altar of biological men who are now trans women, competing against women and beating them. You can't be both. So the public went, this is, and you're shaking your head, but look, the New York Times did a report about that ad, which the Trump campaign did so successfully and repeatedly. You know, Kamala's for they, them, Trump's for you. They reckon it moved the needle by 2.5 points. It was the most successful and effective 30-second ad in modern political history. So people did care. And the Democrats were just too deluded, it seemed to me, because most of them, you must realize this issue of
Bring up a map of the electoral, absolutely. Read other than 3 cities. It must be one of the rat scatter. I don't know what that's. I'm not a butt jackass. Okay. Everyone knows Trump just won his 3 elections in a row. So true.
Trans athletes in women's sport is wrong. You all know it's wrong. For some reason, you wouldn't get off that train. And that delusion was one of the reasons.
Pierce is kind of right. Like, obviously, Democrats did a bad job with this. Like, Kamala Harris just came out and said shit. I hate that the far left. The issue is, like, literally, like, the fucking biggest, like, left-wing content creator, right? It's fucking Hassan. And if Kamala Harris came out and said biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports, at least if they haven't medically transitioned or whatever, Hassan would lose his shit at that, okay? Like, large content creators on the far left would absolutely lose their fucking mind, which is a big issue. But
reasons that you lost so badly, I believe.
But Piers, to Professor Lichtman's point, that ad in and of itself contained misinformation. The ad was saying, oh, Kamala Harris wants to pay for prisoners' transgender surgeries.
All right, said it a few years ago.
2019, man.
But wait, hold on. In the New York Times also reported this, that this took place.
But you support trans women in sports? Yes? No, I don't.
Donald Trump's
generally no.
Presidency as well, because depriving a trans prisoner the right to get gender-affirming care is, Cenk, it's a law, it's a constitution, is against the Constitution of the United States, preventing cruel and unusual punishment. Because if somebody's deemed medically necessary to receive care, no matter what that care is, and you ban it or say, no, you can't get it, that absolutely falls under cruel and unusual punishment. So Donald Trump did the same thing. And that's an example of the disinformation.
I also love the trans
Do you accept, Harry? Do you accept that this
so-called, I'm sorry, yes.
But do you accept the so-called
they're the minority?
I frame as a kind of very, very far left progressive woke stuff. That I've seen a lot of Democrats in the more center part of the party coming out now and publicly saying what I was saying for a long time. Apparently, Bill Clinton kept warning them internally. David Axelrod has come out and said, we've got to stop this. Joe Scarborough did a big monologue.
Well, again, it's because for whatever reason, the far left seem to have an unbelievable amount of control over what people more to the center can say without their total condemnation, even though they fucking condemn people in the center anyway. I say center, but like center relative to the Democrats.
About it on Morning Joe. At some point, you've got to recognize that most average Americans just found all that stuff complete bullshit.
Cope is insane. Do you think Kamala Harris, who ran the most far-right campaign in the history of the Democratic Party in modern history, I don't know for necessarily... I mean, what do you count as modern history? I don't know enough about the campaign Clinton. I think Clinton probably ran closer to the right, but I don't really know. And he thinks she didn't run far enough to the right. I think she didn't do a good enough job addressing a lot of people's concern about like this shit specifically, about like the transgender shit and like biological men competing in women's sports. She did not have the courage to stand up to have the Sister Soldier moment. But yeah, considering there are two prisoners in the old-time there are two prisoners in the all-time recorded history of the U.S. that have gone through gender-affirming surgery, and one happened in 2017, and another in 2022, meaning Trump had this under law in the books, and he did nothing about it, yeah. Piers Morgan, UK citizen or U.S.? I actually don't know. I would imagine he's a U.S. citizen, but he's from the UK, so.
And that's one of the reasons you lost. And you've got to move on from it. If you come back with another woke progressive platform in 4 years' time, you will be out of office potentially for 4 more, 8 more, maybe 12 more years. I promise you. Take it to the bank.
So, Piers, I agree to a degree, but not in the way that you're framing it. I think that we do have to move on from a lot of the culture war stuff. I don't like the word woke, but I understand the context of using it. I think that, yes, and to some degree we have to move on. But by moving on, we shouldn't throw people under the bus. We shouldn't say, oh, trans people are the reason why, or LGBTQ plus people are the reason why. That's not the reason why. It's just that the culture war stuff came off as very kind of gross to some Americans. They really didn't
inflation.
Like it.
It was inflation. Biggest reason was inflation.
About race, because it seems.
Can I get in here?
Well, one second.
Because
hang on. Okay. One thing. I'll come to you, Shane. Don't worry. One, on the issue of race, many people found it extraordinary that a guy who a lot of people think is racist beat a black woman. And that a lot of people that helped him win turned out to be a lot more black men voting for him than first time, and a lot more Latinos voting for him than the previous times. How important, if at all, was race in the end? Or was it actually a case of a lot of black and Latino people went, we don't care about all that stuff. What we care about is jobs, cost of living, illegal immigration, and so on.
Well, I think everybody cares about jobs, cost of living, inflation, and so on. And by the way, I don't think you're right about those numbers. I think there were more black men than black women who went towards Trump. But remember, they're still a small segment of the overall electorate. The big shift, actually, as I said, Latino men was a huge shift. And they're also not that big a section of the electorate. The big electorate in this country still is white people. And overwhelmingly, white men went for Donald Trump. And white women,
Trump, yeah.
who I thought, and I think a lot of pollsters thought, given the abortion issue and the success of abortion as an issue that favored Democrats in 2020, but also after the Dobbs decision in 22 and all the referenda, white women, again, voted for Trump. But so, you talk about, is this a race issue? The race issue may be that white Americans were overwhelmingly in support of Donald Trump. And if you look at black Americans...
Fat guy bet Kamala Harris had the unrealized capital gains tax. That's a pretty left-wing issue. The issue is, I don't know what she would do differently from Biden on some things. So I would say that. I would say the ceasefire in Gaza, she was probably more anti-Israel than Biden was too. Why is everyone adding me? They're hating on you, Mida. I don't know.
America as overall black America supported Kamala Harris. Overall, Latino America supported Kamala Harris, even Latino men who had that big shift. So to me, race is a part of the story because, in America, the demographics are creating anxiety. And I think the anxiety is most evident in terms of white America seeing that there are more black people, but also Latinos as the second largest group in the country now, and rising number of Asians. It plays out in so many ways. And I think Donald Trump is just expert at exploiting, that racial anxiety to say to people, these Democrats are playing identity politics or whatever. I think the identity politics overwhelmingly is played by Donald Trump with white America.
Cenk, you wanted to jump in.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, so look, I'm going to address what Juan's saying too. But first, Harry, I know that the same policy was under Donald Trump, but that's not disinformation. That's for our candidate to go out there and clarify that and to fight back and to make her case. But she refused to make her case. She barely did any interviews. They were all incredibly structured to protect her fragile ego. All she did was talk points. Donald Trump.
I don't think she did enough alternative media interviews, but she did a decent amount of mainstream interviews, I guess.
Sometimes like a maniac, but a lot of times looking like a real person at McDonald's and with a garbage truck. And our side goes, oh, that's terrible. No, it's not terrible. Those are great photo ops. When our guy is a corporate talking robot, that is not helpful. We are misdiagnosing the case here. So when on these identity issues, the Republicans set traps No, hold on. The Republicans set traps for us.
There's no policy difference in foreign policy compared to Biden or Trump. On Gaza, on the ceasefire in Gaza, Kamala Harris is, I'm pretty sure, way more or less leaning to Trump, and even to the left of Biden.
So the great majority of the country is in favor of trans rights, and I'm 100% in favor of trans rights, and I bet you that the entire panel, including Piers, says that as well.
Yeah.
But when you go beyond rights and you say, hey, they dug and dug, they tried to find, hey, how about banning them from the military? Trump tried that in the beginning, it wasn't popular. Banning them from bathrooms, not popular. But they dug until they got to sports, and that was winning ground for them. And what I said is, guys, get out of there. It's a trap. You don't have to fight on that. You're falling into their trap. And what happened, as Piers can attest to, is everyone else on the left screamed, transphobe, fascist, Nazi, let's dig in on our least popular position. That was terrible politics.
Totally agree with that.
Juan, I love you, brother, but it ain't
There's
about
no
race.
graph nerds watch a circus show at TV. Listen, this is a fun circus show, okay? I'll make exceptions. It's a funny frame to pause Lichtman on.
It ain't about race.
You know what?
Latino men didn't vote for. Hold on. Latino men didn't vote for Donald Trump because all of a sudden they like white people or orange people. They voted for him based on economic issues. The Democrats only think in terms of identity, but that's not working anymore. The number one identity people care about is not Latino.
I think Cenk is probably right here. Yeah, we need to play more in economic populism, stop some of the identity politics shit. I think Cenk is mostly right there.
Black or white. It's class. Are you going to do something for the average man, or are you going to sit there and play identity politics so you avoid the more important questions that your donors don't want to talk about that actually helps the average guy, like paid family leave and higher?
How Lichtman is doing is like doing damage control. Yeah, he has to. His keys did not come through. The keys. R.I.P. to kids. What about your numbers, non-fan? What?
I don't get it, Cenk. I don't get it. The reality is, like, Bill Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, they stood up for Obamacare. They stood up for
retroactively tries to explain the ways keys didn't work. Yeah, he blames the misinformation, which...
These are populist issues at the heart of the Democratic Party. You go after the Democratic Party donors and the establishment. Democrats stood for those issues, brought them to the table, and won. And Democrats, if you look at what Joe Biden did in terms of bailing people out during the virus and saying that we have to have infrastructure and building, that helped working people in this country. But a lot of lies were told about that history.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Professor.
You said the economy was best under Biden? I don't know if I said it was the best under Biden. I think there are a lot of metrics that are the best since the 1990s. I'm sure we could find some period in history where it's technically better in every metric or whatever. But just because the economy is better doesn't mean people recognize that, right? Like, I do think the economy is really good under Biden. I don't think people recognize that. And I don't think Kamala Harris appealed to enough to them to explain, like, why she would make it better relative to Trump.
You want to jump in there?
Yeah. First of all, let me add a quick fact. There was no massive switch of black voters to Donald Trump. Donald Trump got 13% of the black vote, 11% the last time. That's
dude, there's no shred of interest in honest discussion about this panel for dramas at a freak show. Yeah, I know. Piers literally, he doesn't care at all. He just wants to milk all the content out of it. And you know what? It's fine because he doesn't copy strike me for reacting to it, so I get to do it too.
The second big myth is that hindsight is 20/20. We have a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks who, after the fact, are telling us what Harris should and should not have done. And half of them are saying she lost because she was too progressive. She was too open to the charge of being a radical, a socialist. The other half have said, of course, she lost because she wasn't progressive enough. We heard that from Cenk today. It's all sports talk radio without the entertainment. There is no way to know after the fact what she should or should not have done. If she'd only done this or that, it would have made a difference. That's just hot air with absolutely no proof. The difference that I bring to the table is a track record of successful prediction based upon how American presidential elections.
Oh, kill me, dude. Kill me.
Decision making on whether or not the White House party.
Lichtman is right. Speaking of Piers Morgan having no interest in honest conversation, Lichtman is right in that I feel like it's just saying to me that, like, Trump can do all these interviews on alternative media. Like, Trump can do interviews with Elon and Joe Rogan, and, like, they never ask him, like, hey, well, what's all that shit with, like, claiming the 2020 election was rigged? And, like, what was all that shit with, like, telling Mike Pence to overturn the election? It's like he just never gets pressed on these issues, and it kind of just let him ramble about, like, about the border. And I feel like that needs to change. There needs to be actual pushback against Trump and some of these alternative media things. And Piers does, like, the both sides shit all the time. Sorry, Piers doesn't even do the both side shit all the time. He treats the Democrats way more harshly. He grades Trump at a huge curve. He makes insane excuses for Trump that he would never make for Democrats.
Has governed well enough. And then my analysis is based upon what's changed, what's shattered the pattern of 160 years of history. So I have a base for my analysis. I'm not just doing Monday morning pattern of 160 years of history. So I have a base for my analysis. I'm not just doing Monday morning quarterbacking. Cenk, you need to learn some manners. Your act is getting really thin.
I mean, brother, I said what was going to go wrong. It did go wrong. I was right. You were wrong in this election spectacularly so with your so-called keys. And now you come and tell us not
brother.
to like
brother.
When I'm wrong. Are you ever going to learn the lessons?
Can I just ask, hang on. Just ask those who have...
Look, if tariffs were done by states rather than federal government, I don't think it would be as bad just because it wouldn't affect as many people, but it would still be bad. There would still be a net cost for that state.
No idea what the key thing is all about. Why are you flashing keys?
His 13 keys. How do you not know?
He had these keys, and they were going to determine the outcome of the election, and all the keys were rigged in favor of incumbents. And I tried to explain to him, no, there are things outside of the keys. We literally had a debate, and I asked him, what if Joe Biden, this was back when he was defending Joe Biden, which now seems unconscionable, what if Biden came and punched the baby every single day? Would your keys still hold? And he said yes. Okay, well, then you're an unreasonable person.
I was right.
But what I'm most worried about is not the past,
Let me
it's the
explain
future.
why.
Oh, he's right. Biden could have won. Biden could have won. Harry looked like... Harry might just, he did the face to, he had like a cringe face to him saying defending Biden's unconscionable. He might just think that Biden is a good president, which, hey, I agree, buddy. I agree. Biden almost certainly could not have won that. There's no way Biden would have done better. Biden was fucked. Biden was even more fucked.
You have no idea how absurd you sound. Okay, but
Biden's a good president overall. Biden's the best president in history of the United States. That's extreme. But I honestly think Biden was a really good president. He's underappreciated.
Most important thing is not between me and Professor Lichtman. God bless you, brother. I know you did a lifetime's worth of work, and I feel a little bit bad about it. The reason I'm saying it is not to rub it in now. It's because I'm worried that in the next primary, you're going to tell people to vote for the establishment Democrat. That all of you on this panel are going to go, oh, no, vote for the corporate robot, vote for the corporate robot.
Based.
And that's going to
I love the corporate robot.
That's why I'm fighting back so aggressively.
Give me a name.
No, vote for the populist left.
Give me a name.
Well, in the old days, it easily would have been Bernie Sanders.
Who is it now?
Too old. So, look, I would start considering Sean Fain, head of the UAW, Sean O'Brien, head of the Teamsters, Jon Stewart. Go outside of politics.
Jon Stewart. Let's go.
I mean, Harry,
for the average man.
Harry, you're shaking your head, but I mean, Jon Stewart, if he could be persuaded, I would imagine could be very good as a candidate, couldn't he?
No,
Maybe.
I don't take objection to Jon Stewart. I just think we have some people in the Democratic Party who are very talented right now who could be the Democratic nominee. Governor Shapiro won Pennsylvania by like 20 points. Governor Wes Moore in Maryland. How much more connected to people do you need other than like Wes Moore, who's great? Raphael Warnock from Georgia won a swing state and is a senator from a swing state. Gretchen Whitmer, who had a trifecta in Michigan for the first time in a long time. There's really talented people in the Democratic Party who are elected officials right now. But these people are winning in swing states overwhelmingly.
Who would you like to see?
Honestly, Americans are so stupid. Jon Stewart might fucking win. Okay, like is he actually a good candidate? No. Are Americans fucking stupid enough to vote for him just because he's funny? Yeah, probably. Probably there's a lot of fucking centrist voters, like median voter, that could be swayed to voting for him just because he's fucking funny sometimes. But he's not the governing type? Absolutely he's not. I think he'd be pretty bad at governing. Pretty bad at politicking. Would Americans fucking vote for him though? Yeah, probably.
I think any of the people I just mentioned, I'd love to see. And there's plenty more, but I think we're going to.
I'm pretty sure I would lay good money now that J.D. Vance will be the Republican nominee in
I'd say it's probably a good bet.
Because I think he's actually he in direct contrast to Mr. Waltz, who I thought was a total disaster. I thought J.D. Vance started with a lot of negativity, but became a real force for Trump, particularly in getting young men to come out and vote for him. So,
by the way, listen. Republicans did this, so I get to do it to them. Where's J.D. Vance? Where's J.D. Vance? Where is he? Have not seen him since the election. Where is he? Where is he? Why is he hiding? Did he get a body double too, just like Biden? I bet he got a body double too. Obviously, I'm joking. J.D. Vance is probably just at home celebrating his victory, but it is funny to troll.
I expect he'll be the nominee, but we'll see. Professor Lichtman, we're going to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. In a moment, we're now going to be joined by, to add to our panel, the Ohio State Senator Nina Turner. And first making uncensored.
Oh, state senator. Oh, Kyle Kalinske, no way.
The host of the Kyle Kalinske Show, Kyle Kalinske.
Yeah, state senator is not important. Who gives a fuck?
Welcome to our center. We're trying to get you for a long time. Let's have a little chat with you before we get reaction from the panel. But why did the Democrats...
Where's Trump? I'm pretty sure Trump's still been doing, like, appearances and stuff, right? Man, I don't know. Maybe not.
Democrats blow it so badly. And what do they do to avoid this happening again in 4 years?
I mean, the simple answer is that Kamala Harris kind of codes as a technocratic status quo manager, and Trump codes as a change agent. And so, I mean, to sum it up as simply as possible, voters...
I don't completely disagree with that.
Thought he's going to deliver more change. She's more of the same, and they broke for him.
Who would you like to see run the party now? I mean, what's the future of the Democrats looking like to you?
Jon Stewart. I've been pushing that since.
Are you fucking? He's unironically saying Jon Stewart. Really? Are you, listen, man. I don't know. Fuck it. Maybe this is what we need. Maybe I don't know at this point. I don't even know.
Trump won this time around because what we need is honestly a controversial
Can't find him.
celebrity might make all of the difference, but it's that mixed with Bernie Sanders' policies of actually delivering social democracy for people, raising their pay, getting them health care. I think that's the magic stew. And honestly, I think it's a shame that more people aren't talking about the controversial, charismatic celebrity portion of Trump being so successful, is that you can't keep the cameras off him. He's entertaining. Love him or hate him, you can't stop watching him. And so we need to sort of mirror that on the left. And I think the way of doing that is Jon Stewart.
But I would add to that what Bill Maher's been warning for a long time to liberals, speaking as a liberal himself. And I'm pretty much where he is politically, I think. I feel the same way.
No shot. I don't see Bill Maher holding, or maybe he does, I don't know. I don't see him holding Democrats to this insane standard that Pierce holds them to.
And I know you've been keen to say, look, Kamala didn't mention any of these woke issues, whatever, but she's very much associated with a lot of those woke issues. She's certainly voted in line.
Bill Maher's insufferable. At least I don't think he's as insufferable as Pierce. I think he's right about some things. I don't know. But some things I can understand why people don't like him.
A lot of the more progressive stuff, like allowing transgender athletes in women's sport and so on. So she's seen to be a progressive who then moved rapidly to the
Pierce is as insufferable. I think Pierce is more insufferable just because I see he hosts these fucking interviews and hosts Democrats but Maher is more like that is true.
When she got the nomination,
Zero tariffs would be better if tariff benefits of areas specifically the negative effects should be localized as well. Otherwise, didn't I say that they would be better because they would hurt less people? I imagine they would hurt less people. Like, yeah, they're not as bad as a federal level tariff, but they're still bad. Is my position.
Racial and social injustice.
Also, I guess they probably wouldn't just hurt that state because other that would place that state at like a disadvantage relative to other states, and then there'd be things that go on there, but. It would hurt less people. I agree.
I mean, the way it's become a kind of new form of fascism, where the far left just basically want to cancel, shame, and humiliate absolutely.
Tariffs are retarded in discussion. True. You missed a fucking 4-hour tariff debate we had.
Which actually really damages them electorally.
No, I think Kamala ran basically the platonic ideal of a non-woke Democratic campaign. She never mentioned race. She never mentioned gender.
On.
She never mentioned trans people.
That's not true. She did do a little bit of DI stuff. Like the opportunity economy for black men or whatever, like the loans for black entrepreneurs. I don't think it's like necessarily super bad, but she did kind of play into identity politics there. And trans shit, she just didn't have good answers to some of the fucking questions that she'd be pushed on, like in media interviews, and Republicans make it out to be like a way more bigger deal than it is, which is they're insane. The disinformation is insane. But
or Latinx or cancel culture, she repeatedly stressed that she was going to represent all Americans. She ran to the right on the issue of the border. She talked about owning a gun. She ran on freedom.
I don't think the U.S. has much lithium. Excuse me, we do now. That's the whole reason we made that hurricane. Okay, U.S. lithium deposits. Look, this is the whole That's the whole reason we made Hurricane Helene. What do you mean? That's the whole reason all the Jews came together and turned on the hurricane machine and found all their lithium deposits under North Carolina, and we're like, hey, we need an excuse to federalize this land. So they made the hurricane, and they used FEMA to give loans to people and then take their land if they don't repay it.
And so when you put all that stuff together, I simply don't know what people are talking about when they say she's.
Well, they're talking about her record. Hang on, they're talking about her record.
Yeah, haven't you heard, localist? Did you hear that if you, if you own land and then FEMA gives you money after the disaster, the man-made Jewish hurricane disaster, if you don't repay that money back, they take your home and they use that land to mine lithium. Didn't you know that? You don't know this?
Vice president of the Biden administration, where they never stopped talking about this stuff for nearly 4 years. So you could pretend when you get the nomination, whoa, I'm a centrist, and I'm a gun-toting Rambo, by the way, as well.
I don't even know if Biden played in the DI a little bit. Biden, at the start of his term, did some transgender shit, but Jewish space leaders. Jews in space. This is the hurricane machine right here.
Amendment people, but actually, if you judge her on what she said and did in 4 years, she was a progressive left person, and to pretend otherwise is to just ignore what went on in that period.
What I'm much more concerned about is not Democrats being woke or Democrats censoring speech. I'm much more concerned about Trump's record on those things. So, for example, Trump said he wants to punish flag burning with a year in jail. That's against the First Amendment. He sued CNN for $475 million for calling election denial.
I don't care, localist.
Before he was president, he sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke. He said he wants to open up the libel laws. He called for jailing journalists who report on the Supreme Court abortion ruling early before the decision.
How many of those things did he do in his first term?
Pro-Palestine protesters.
How many of those things did he actually do in his first term? Because it seems to me another problem, and he does this brilliantly, by the way, with the left. He sucks you in. Because he just shoots them a hip and he says stuff that crosses his mind or whatever. And rather than pick him off on stuff he actually does, you all go completely nuts every time he opens his mouth and says something a bit crazy. And if I was advising the Democrats, I'd be like, stop.
He's the president of the United States. If he says some insane shit, then yeah. Like,
stop doing this. You're literally playing into his trap every time you do this. Just pick him off on the stuff he actually does. Then you got a better chance.
All right, I'll do that. Here, ready? He gag ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. That's deeply anti-free speech. He arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting. He did not pardon Assange. He did not pardon Snowden. He did not pardon Daniel Hale.
Damn, true.
Correction Act to deploy the U.S. to deploy armed troops against George Floyd protesters. These are all things that are actually on the record, things he actually did. And the thing that I find incredibly frustrating is that nobody talks about it. Trump magically gets a pass for things he actually did.
He doesn't get
Democrats
a pass.
Get held to a super high standard.
Come on, he doesn't.
What do you mean? He definitely gets a pass from you, Piers. I don't know what you're on about. He gets a pass from the electorate too. He did January 6th, and he got elected again. Kill me.
Trump has had.
Wait.
Holy shit. Ticky tack in with the fucking $50. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it very much, Ticky Tack. Hell yeah, half my monthly income right there. Fuck yeah, thanks, Ticky Tack. Here, let me give you the hearts. I appreciate it. Oh, by the way, sorry about, next time Minar comes in, I will let you troll for sure. I just I wanted to do the tariff conversation first, and then Minar left at some point. Now you can afford those shoes? The fucking Trump shoes? Yeah, hell yeah. I need the Trump sneakers, man.
Hang on. Let me ask you. Trump has had the most unrelentingly...
Kamala needs that 50 more. Kamala no longer needs that 50 more than me. I hate to break it to you.
Hostile media.
You know what pains me? I gave John Tester $10, and this motherfucker lost this race, okay? I gave this motherfucker $10 whole, and he still lost. 45% compared to 50. Jesus, it was a way bigger loss than I thought it was. I take no offense to anything. His reaction was funny to start with. It was funny. $10 whole. This motherfucker. Didn't appreciate it. I don't know. It was Montana. I don't know for sure. I don't know if there's any chance that he won after all the shit the Democrats did, but we'll see.
From a mainstream media that is largely staffed.
Oh, sorry. I assume we say all the things Democrats did. Everything people associate Democrats with. Some of which they did in fact not do.
By liberals, we know this because the way they all go nuts when they're.
He does exactly. He does look like the guy from the Name Much When It's Honest Work. That's why he can win Montana.
People wouldn't come out and endorse Kamala, and they all resign, so they reveal their true colours. Cable news the same, MSNBC, CNN, you can fire a harpoon around their newsrooms and you wouldn't hit a conservative, right? So let's just get real about the way mainstream media is made up. I've worked in it, and there are very few conservatives, and that is part of the problem as well. And I just think that ultimately, if the Democrats are going to try and make themselves electable, they've got to move wholesale on now to a far more effective way of campaigning. They can't just be, every time Donald Trump speaks, mass hysteria, shaving your head, going on TikTok and posting videos of yourself screaming and saying you'll never have sex with a Trump supporter again. All this stuff is insane.
Wait. How about just telling the truth? That's a radical idea, right? When was the last time you heard that Trump arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting? Who talked about that? Did CNN talk about that? Did MSNBC talk about that? Did you talk about that? Nobody talks about it. And the fact of the matter is Trump attacks Democrats 4 times as hard as they attack him. Yeah. So if anything...
I don't even know about this. I could see a case where it's legitimate. So I don't... Trump, 6 journalists. Although he shouldn't be... I don't know what he means by Trump did it. He shouldn't be ordering... Even if they did do a crime, he probably shouldn't be ordering the DOJ specifically to charge these people. That's probably not something he should do. This says 4. Didn't he say 6? 6 arrested while covering Donald Trump protest. 6 members of the media have been charged with felony rioting after being arrested. All 6 individuals were arraigned Saturday in D.C. for violating the city's law against rioting. Kyle Kinsley's in Fantasyland. He just believes what he wants to be true. I'm missing when Kyle Kalinske defended Biden. Okay. but they were dropped. They were dropped against 4 of them. But like, charges you can have probable cause to bring charges, and it be legitimate to bring charges, and then it be legitimate to remove them later. Just because they were removed doesn't necessarily mean it was bad to bring charges in the first place, right? So, charges were against 3 journalists. Charges against these were dropped. You can bring bogus charges easy. I'm not saying that's not possible. I understand you can't do that. Have you seen the Kyle Clinton versus Charles Kirk debate? It's kind of old, but it's funny to see Kirk had stopped the easiest way possible. I don't think I have, actually. Uh-oh. How do you spell Kyle Kalinske versus Charlie Kirk? 5 years ago, yeah. It's just the only fucking video we had. Is there like an actual... Oh, this one looks better.
Big issues today.
It's from Turning Point USA. We're off railing real quick, but what happened to your Brett Cooper vid comments? Yeah, I know. Yeah, the Brett Cooper Sims came after me. Yeah. Hardcore. I don't know. I think YouTube just recommended that video to a lot of conservatives. So... You met Charlie Kirk? What? Crazy. No, it's an on-camera thing. Turning Point has got to more funding since then. I don't know. I could like see a case where this is legitimate, and it could very easily not be legitimate as well. But clearly, it's not. It's possible in principle for journalists to engage in rioting, and then clearly in principle, it's possible that they didn't engage in rioting, but who the fuck cares? But there was still probable cause to bring charges.
The lesson to take away is the opposite. Democrats should get more arrogant, they should get more aggressive, and they should tell the truth more.
Come on, Carl. You know that would be utter suicide.
That's the truth.
You know what? You wouldn't be as good at it as he is, because he does it with humour. You lot all do it with these incredibly straight-faced, virtue-signaling, outrage, everything faces. And it's like, if you all just chilled out a bit, have a bit of Kool-Aid, have a bit of a laugh.
That's why I said John Stewart.
Death by mockery. Well, actually, you're right. John Stewart gets exactly the right tone. On that, I agree with you.
That's right. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Let's bring in Nina Turner and the rest of the panel. Nina, you floated that Rahm Emanuel as a new DNC chair would be a good signal that the Democrat Party is only there for the donor class. Many other people would say that Rahm Emanuel's a very effective political operator. I mean, actually, the Democrats need a bit of that muscle now.
Appears very effective at a cover-up. As we know, as mayor of the city of Chicago, he covered up the police murder of Laquan McDonald. He closed many schools in the black community. Certain segments of the black community are very outraged by him. He is more of the same and should be as far away from the DNC as possible. Now, if the Democrats want to lose again and get handed again like they just did in 2024, then go ahead and have Rahm Emanuel there. But if they want to do a new thing and answer to the working class people of this country from all backgrounds, then they need to have somebody there, primarily who's going to say no more dark money in Democratic primaries. Rahm Emanuel is an absolute no. We know that the Chicago Teachers Union feels the same way, and many others will come out against him.
I don't know enough about. I have no clue what she's saying is true. I don't know enough about it.
If he decides to run for that.
Okay, Juan, let me bring you back in, because MSNBC is now at war, which is always entertaining to watch, because Joe and Mika from the morning show went off with their
I think charges on were some of them actually convicted? I don't think any were. Or did someone at least go to trial, or all the charges just dropped eventually? Because it says the charge against these have been... I don't know. I need to know more. But again, I could see a case where it's legitimate.
Revealed this morning to go and see Trump in secret at the end of last week after bombarding him with abuse for years and years and years, having originally been great friends of his. But another MSNBC presenter, Katie Phang, has now tweeted, normalizing Trump is a bad idea, period. So clearly there is an internal fracturing going on, which I suspect is going on in the Democrat Party at large, because I would urge them to be more collegiate with Trump. I've always felt that he's one of those guys, he's a natural pugilist. If you read his book, The Art of the Deal, he says, if you punch me, I'll punch you 10 times back. Actually, if you go and hang out with Trump, and I've criticized as much as I praised him.
Kill me. No, you haven't. No, you have not. You have absolutely not done that, Piers. You have not. You hold Democrats to a way higher standard as well.
And if he feels like you're not just unrelentingly abusive. So I actually thought that Joe and Mika, we'll play a clip from what they said this morning, but I thought this was a good move on their part. Let's take a look.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was
the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications.
Well, what do you make of that? I mean, you know, I actually feel America's been so toxic in the way it's become so tribal, and they've been part of that, no question, on one side, and Fox have done it, I guess, on the other, and so on. Should we encourage both sides to come together a bit more, like they used to in the old days?
Sure. I mean, look, I'm all for people working together, building bridges, kumbaya. I'm all for it because I think, you know what? If you look at the Congress of the United States, totally polarized, they're also totally paralyzed. They're not getting anything done. Yeah. We need to get things done. And on the world stage, I could go on and on. But I think that with Joe and Mika, and I watched that show, so I'm no critic of it in that sense because I subscribe, if you will. But let me just tell you, it looked to me like their ratings have gone through the floor.
They have, yeah.
And I think that when people talk about Trump, you talk about Trump, he's a celebrity. People have said you can't take the camera off him. I think for them, it's like, you know what? This is a way to get back in the media ratings game. You know, the idea that we're connected to Trump. People like to advertise on shows they know the president might be watching. They would love to get Trump to, instead of watching Fox and Friends, to watch some of Joe and Mika, Morning Joe. But, you know, to me, that's it really calls into question, have they been authentic when they were saying that this guy is so harsh when it comes to women, so harsh and racist when it comes to blacks and Latinos, and has an authoritarian, even, as we were saying, fascist streak. So were they sincere about that, or are they now falling in line with others who find, you know what, I want to get on the bandwagon because Trump has just been reelected and won the popular vote. Yeah. To my mind, you got to be straight about your authentic sense so that the audience can trust you, and I think they put that at risk today.
Well, it's interesting, Cenk, because the journalism professor and author Jeff Jarvis has accused them, Joe and Mika, of inflicting a, quote, betrayal on their colleagues, democracy, and us all. He tweeted this a disgusting show of obeisance in advance.
Yeah. So I have a different opinion than everybody here. My first question would be, what are we agreeing on? So if you want to go to Trump to get him to agree on things that we agree with, like an anti-war position, fantastic. Of course we should be open.
Bro, dude, I forgot about this until now. Man, Cenk's tweets, it was like today or yesterday, it was like, make me head to the Pentagon so I can cut the military budget by $400 billion. I can make Trump anti-war. Like,
you'd be nuts not to be open. Oh,
it's so
right?
goofy.
If he were to actually do anti-corruption, which he always promises but never does, right? And you can get him to be open to that, fantastic. But why are Mika and Joe going there? To push for, the public option? No, they're going over there to get access. And so they seem like utter frauds. Like, if they could show me policies.
Well, the left is yelling at me not to work with MAGA. Here's Donald Trump Jr. saying he would limit generals from working for defense contractors. That's a policy we've been pushing for and got to nowhere with Democrats on. Who cares as long as they get it done? Oh, the Donald Trump Jr. actually fucking replied to check here. Oh, you know, Elon Musk himself replied to this and tell that shit too, man. Dude, imagine if the Department of fucking Government Efficiency actually fucking that comes into being, and their recommendation is just, actually, let's just cut the military budget by $400 billion. Surely there's no adverse effects from that.
That they care about.
Oh my God, kill me.
They have a strategy to get Donald Trump to do good and decent things. Great, I'm super open to it. Look, I would want to do that. I got no problems with meeting with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, or anything else along those lines. But what I'm not going to do is compromise my principles and my ideas just to get access. Yeah. So, like, for example, I mean, the Democratic Party instantly going in the wrong direction. Rahm Emanuel is the biggest dog for corporate donors. Picking him could be the worst possible thing you could do. You know that Rahm Emanuel
I love the corporate donors.
Seats on his watch
They're based.
The DNC nationwide for the Democrats. There isn't a bigger loser in the Democratic Party. So, look, we need a populist like Jon Stewart, which I actually, if you remember, Piers, I tried to get him into this race. Yeah. But John, call me. This guy never wants to, he doesn't realize how intensely popular he can be. By the way, another candidate for president could be Nina Turner, a person who actually fights for the average person, has always been right about the populist left, and going for class instead of always being worried about identity politics. So there's so many options here.
Yeah. Kyle, a lot of people now say, including John Fetterman, that Nancy Pelosi should go. She's the godmother, the enforcer. Now she's blaming Biden. You can't have it both ways. I think it's really ironic. You have a woman of age 84 and she's still hanging on. Why not give a younger generation an opportunity to occupy that seat? I mean, Nancy Pelosi, it does seem to me...
Because Nancy Pelosi's based. I love Nancy Pelosi, okay? Nancy Pelosi knows all. She's the best. Well, number one, she's just the best, she's really good at the stock market, There's that, first of all. She's a very good financial advisor, I would say. She's the most effective Democratic operative, behind-the-scenes operative ever. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi.
I mean, I'm totally in favor of cleaning house, but at the same time, that 100% would include the genocidal maniac that is John Fetterman. So he's part of the problem that he thinks he's calling out here. He's one of the worst of the worst. So, but on the broader point of just...
I don't even know how to do this. I've been watching so much news.
I love this rap. Mida showed me this.
Because as of lately, you want to know who I would fuck?
Nancy Pelosi.
Someone tell that granny to blow me. I'd take out her dentures, put them on the dresser, slide off her panties and proceed. I'd whip out her knockers fast and start throwing uppercuts like a boxing bag. I'd grab her by the nipples and I'd flip them up and down until they're flapping in the wind, and then I'd spin them all around and go, "Have you seen them titties? Every time I think of them things, I'm giddy. She's far from the itty bitty titty committee. Come on, man, she could start her own team in the big leagues. I think about them just to pass the day. Man, I bet those fuckers hang past her waist. If I laid on the ground with my head by your feet and she dropped them, they'd probably smack my face."
Bringing in new leadership, bringing in fresh ideas, bringing in people who believe in social democracy and Bernie Sanders' agenda, and they're willing to fight. 100% on board for that.
Harry, celebrities like Oprah Winfrey, where it's now been revealed that she and
They felt a lot longer than 40 seconds.
$500 million rather than the original $1 million is thought for the.
You don't appreciate it like I do.
They put on with Kamala Harris. Every single time out comes Oprah putting her arm around whoever the Democrat candidate is. Then you see Beyonce. Then you see they all come out. I feel that's over. That Trump has barreled his way through that, and his people like Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and others, they're not really conventional celebrities. They're tech people in a tech world, really, or interviewers or journalists. Do you think this idea of the Democrats constantly being associated with super rich
Hit that booty like he was
singers,
insider
pop
trading.
stars, actors, and so on, is that over now? Because it seems to have backfired this time.
No, I don't think so. I think like the people you're describing, like Joe Rogan, are celebrities in their own right. Joe Rogan, his base of viewers just happen to be the people that Donald Trump wanted to get out to vote. The people who watch Oprah, the people that listen to Taylor Swift, happen to be the Kamala Harris's.
But they didn't get their people out to vote. You know, women did not go out in the numbers that people expected when Taylor Swift.
Well, women still voted for Kamala Harris overwhelmingly.
Yeah, but I love Taylor Swift, for example, but everyone thought that would really change the needle. 500,000 people apparently registered to vote extra in 24 hours when she made her endorsement, but none of that was reflected in the polls.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't effective. Who's to say that it didn't actually get out more people to vote, and that possibly the loss would have been worse if Taylor Swift and folks
Yeah,
like
it
Oprah
is true.
were working with Kamala Harris. These people have, you know, they're famous. They have a lot of notoriety. So when they're doing something with a candidate, that speaks to people who are low propensity voters, people who don't pay attention to politics like everybody else does here, right? We want to get those people out to vote, and a lot of those people align with Kamala Harris. And if they see Oprah standing next to Kamala Harris, they're like, oh yeah, that looks cool to me. So I don't think that was a mistake. I don't think it like quote unquote backfired. Maybe there's a way to do it more strategically in the future. But to say that, oh yeah, no, we shouldn't work with Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on earth, I think that's foolish.
You know what, Harry?
Nobody cares, Harry. Nobody cares about celebrity endorsements.
I don't think they do.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, nobody cares about
I
celebrity
don't know if that's true.
If Democrats, for example, passed...
Didn't Trump's... It wasn't Trump himself. It was like one of his campaign surrogate people. Like after Trump won, like one of the first things he did, it was like, say thank you, Aiden Ross. Like, really? You're fucking kidding me? Like...
Build Back Better, the original Build Back Better that Biden and Bernie were trying to get through. That
God, we did build back better, and y'all don't appreciate it.
Included paid family leave, childcare, universal pre-K, free community college, expanding Medicare, higher minimum wage, lowering...
I guess we didn't do literally everything. Did Biden ever... I think Biden endorsed upping the minimum wage, and I think he has endorsed a public option in the past. But like, has he... I don't know if he's endorsed any of these other things. I don't know what Biden's position on paid family leave is.
Universal pre-K,
universal pre-care, I don't know. Childcare, I don't know.
Community college, expanding Medicare.
Community, he might have... I mean, he canceled student loans. That's something, at least. I don't know if he's ever said free universal college or whatever.
Higher minimum wage.
Why does he look so tired? His eyes look lopsided.
Lowering all prescription drug prices. Expanded child tax.
He kind of did do that with allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices and capping insulin. Like,
credit. If you got that through, I think this election very well may have been different, and Democrats would have won.
I don't know. As long as there's still fucking 9% inflation in 2022, I honestly don't know if Democrats could have done much better. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It could be the case. I honestly just really do not know.
I don't think dragging out, Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whoever else is going to make much of a difference, because people like them for what they like them for. They like them for the singing. They like them for the dances. They don't really want to hear their thoughts on the marginal tax rate.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree.
I want to bring Dina back in.
I agree with Kyle on that, and I want to say, Jane, thank you for that presidential endorsement. Who knows what 2028 will hold? But they overplayed their hand with celebrities. It's not that you don't want celebrities, but celebrities motivate the base that you already have. What this campaign did is they put too much stock in those celebrities. Those celebrities, just like my colleagues on this panel, just like myself, they only have one vote to give. Yes, they have influence, but you know who could have been a bit better influence on that race? Is everyday working class people standing by her side. Everyday working class people talking about how under the Harris-Walz presidency, things would be different for them, that the minimum wage would be increased, et cetera, et cetera. That did not happen. So although Taylor Swift is popular, obviously she's not that popular because she absolutely did not move the needle. And this is no shade to her. It is just celebrities are good for the base. They are not necessarily good to move those undecided voters.
The other thing, Nina, the way
they did it too. I mean, the other thing I would say, the way they did it. It was a very elitist way. It was the way they did it.
No, I agree with you. There's a different issue which Trump's nominee picks for the cabinet. I think I see a consistent pattern here. The one running theme of all of them is they're all good on television. Trump understands the power of television like no political candidate I've ever seen. He absolutely gets it because he's a TV guy.
I just no shot that if a Democrat behaved like Trump did, Piers would call it good on television. He would call it unpresidential. Are you fucking kidding me? God, Trump does the weave. He gives long, rambling answers, and he doesn't like. Remember when he asked about like breaking up Google, and he just started talking about election fraud again? Like, oh my God, no shot. Although there's an argument for Pete Buttigieg. I think Pete Buttigieg does really good in these. She's got a crazy hairline. It is kind of recessed.
I did a Celebrity Apprentice show. I saw him at first hand. He loves the camera loves him, and he's great at the power of television. If you look at RFK Jr., you look at Tulsi Gabbard, you look at Marco Rubio, you look at even Matt Gaetz, look at all these people. What's the common theme? They're all good talkers. And they're good on telly.
Unqualified.
Whereas of course, everyone can have their view about their politics, but they are good performers on television. If I try and think of a lot of Democrats in that camp who are good at articulating policy on television, I start to really struggle. I do. I think it's important.
But why are we giving Trump credit for optics right now, Piers? The thing about all of his picks is that they're virulent neocons. He picked Mike Huckabee, who's an end times fundamentalist Christian, to be ambassador to Israel. This guy thinks the rapture is going to happen and Jesus is going to come back in his lifetime.
You know why he picked him?
You know why he picked him?
He picked him because
Trump's a neocon. That's why he picked him.
He picked him because he has such a thumping mandate on November the 5th.
But do you criticize that? Do you criticize that though? Are you against
that? I don't think it's any surprise.
Oh, please let Harry talk at least. Are you kidding me?
He does not have a mandate. This is the craziest talking point I've heard.
Well, hang on. My point is the Democrats had such a terrible campaign with a terrible candidate. You reap what you sow. You've allowed Trump to do what he wants, right? So I'm afraid.
Do you criticize his neocon pick? Do you criticize?
Here's what I think. It doesn't matter what I think because the truth is.
It does.
Oh my God, he won't even criticize. Like, I mean, I don't fully agree with Kyle Kalinske here because I think some of the neocons might be better than Trump on some things. you know, foreign policy, I don't mind too much if it's handled by the neocons, okay? Because they're base sometimes, but. Christians have finally started talking and voting. I feel like they've been voting consistently Republican for a few election cycles now, at least. But welcome to the stream, Chester the Pup.
Yes,
Trump was very pro-Israel the first time round. He was always going to be very pro-Israel this time round. And you guys have allowed him to win with a thumping mandate. So the real point of this panel...
He does not have a thumping mandate.
The real point of this blue panel is for you to show some self-awareness.
You insane.
You've allowed all this to happen. I mean, Nina, I want to come back to you just briefly.
What self-awareness? He's picking neocons. Are you going to criticize
He's picking them because he's allowed to.
Or not?
He can pick
them. He's allowed to, but are you against it? Are you against it?
I'm against some of it, yeah.
You have nothing but criticism for Democrats. And you have no smoke for Trump, apparently.
Listen, I regularly criticize Trump.
Two things.
Come on, brother.
I would not.
Thanks for the welcome.
Okay, let me answer the question.
Come on,
I would personally not have picked Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General pick. I think it's ridiculous. Right?
Are you kidding me? Dude, not a shot if a Democrat did something equivalent to that. Piers Morgan would not just do like the weaselly, would I personally done it? Would I personally get a 9-month abortion? Well, maybe me personally wouldn't get a 9-month abortion, but maybe it's not like, shut the fuck up, dude. Oh.
You should call him up and tell him that. I know you guys talk on the phone.
He won.
I said,
so to the victor goes the spoils.
Yes.
We all can agree with that.
Yes.
The man won. The Democrats left the door, the windows open.
I mean, they gotta get confirmed by the Senate still, and hopefully that doesn't happen for Matt Gaetz.
Everything open.
The door.
Come in, burglars.
Won. There is a however to this. Yes, he does get to nominate whoever he wants to nominate in his cabinet. If the Senate is so upset with any of those nominees, then they can reject those nominees.
Yes.
That is likely not going to happen. The other side of this is true that some of the people that he is picking, and let's use Congressman Matt Gaetz for the prime example, he wants a yes man in the Attorney General's office. That is it, because Congressman Matt Gaetz
the Christian vote definitely increased at the last election? I don't actually know.
Thing that President-elect Donald J. Trump tells
you know what, Nina, I have one question about that. Okay, I have one question about
regardless of whether it's right or wrong.
Here's my point about that. Trump's being attacked for choosing loyalists, to which my response would be, should he have actively chosen disloyal people? I mean,
no,
seriously.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not attacking him.
My response would be, should he have actively chosen disloyal people?
I mean, one, if they're disloyal in the respect that, like, Pence was disloyal on January 6th, then yeah, they'll actually fucking uphold the Constitution, unlike Trump. Like what? Like yeah, for the illegal shit, you should probably pick someone actively disloyal there. But like two, like obviously there's a spectrum between complete loyalists who will fall you off the a fucking cliff, will disobey the Constitution, and like actively obstructing you with everything. I would say a good leader, a good reasonable leader chooses someone kind of in the middle that like has relevant expertise and can effectively push back against you on certain things, right? Like, you don't want a bunch of loyalists going along with your every whim because you don't have all this knowledge. A lot of it's important to have like someone in the military that's been in the military for a while, not a fucking Fox News host, lead the Department of Defense, because they have relevant knowledge that you don't actually that you don't have, and it's important that they are able to offer like effective advice and pushback against you. Like, that is what a good leader does. They delegate some things. They don't want complete control over everything, and they want people to offer reasonable pushback when they feel like that they don't know enough about a certain subject. And they probably want people loyal to the Constitution. When Trump says loyalist, he means loyal to him over the Constitution.
I'm not attacking him.
Who wouldn't, if you're president,
wait.
people that might be loyal
I'm
to?
not attacking him.
Oh my God! Please kill me. You should just ask Piers. Like, do you want, if Trump tells Mike Pence to overturn the election, do you want him to be loyal to that?
We gotta call this what it is.
Come on, Piers.
I feel like I just lit
We should not pick military guy to run Department of Defense. You don't think we should pick someone of relevant military experience to run Department of Defense instead of a media guy, instead of a Fox News host? Really?
I said he has every right to pick.
He doesn't even have like, maybe he does. I don't think he has like managing experience. Like, I think like he's just a reporter. Like, he's gonna manage an entire
department. Every right
department
to weigh in on his picks.
Yeah.
But the Senate has the final.
Okay, that is true. That is true. We've got to leave it there. Brilliant panel.
Thank you, Chester, for the follow. I appreciate it.
You're very much. Blue on blue. Blue on blue was good, but I do feel like blue on blue, you've got to keep talking to each other, because out of this unholy mess, the reality is you've all allowed Donald Trump to get back in with even more power. Even more
Was a
power.
military officer? Was he? Peter? Or is it just Pete? Pete Hegseth? When you say military officer, years of service, rank major. Okay, so he was in the military. He was deployed here. But he's not, he was never in charge of the, like, administrative shit in the military, right? I don't know if I would consider this relevant experience unless he actually ranked up further. I don't actually know where a major is in the Army, though. It's a field officer does not count. No.
So you can all have a problem about it.
And Jon Stewart.
This is on you. I actually agree about Jon Stewart. I think he'd be great. So get on the phone to Jon Stewart. Thank you to my panel. Appreciate it.
It'd be funny if we did get Jon Stewart. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to nonfon420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.